Hello gorgeous, welcome back to my dramatic reading of Magnetic Mindset, How to Make Love to the Universe and Manifest Anything. This is chapter 2. Feeling good is your job. Wanting to feel good is synonymous with wanting to feel God. Wayne Dyer. We are a generation of seekers. We spend our time looking for more, wanting answers. We saw the way our parents lived their lives, mostly on a constant quest of providing for their families, and we know that there is more. Some of us go looking for it in drugs, sex, ego, and acquisition. When we realize that those things don't work, that they provide no true balm for our soul, no soothing of our existential angst, we look elsewhere. Yoga, family, spirituality, meditation, travel, loving, serving, creating. We think a lot about our purpose in life. Why are we here? What's our mission? How can we serve the world? These are beautiful questions which come from a good place, but in a lot of ways, they are misguided. They are a roundabout way to reach an inherently simple truth. Your job, your purpose, your mission, and the reason you are here is to feel joy. You are here to taste the rainbow of life with all its contrasting experiences, to feel a kaleidoscope of multitudes, to bear witness to awe-inspiring things that open your mind, and to allow these moments to help you create new desires. The goal is to continually experience more joy, to desire things and then bring them to glorious fruition, to experience connection within yourself, to be in the present and enjoy it so much that it allows even more ecstasy to rush into your life. The only rule when it comes to your vocation is that it should help feed your delight. It should allow you to build upon your happiness, to experience more satisfaction. Feeling good must always be your first priority. You are no use to the world when you are operating from a place of sadness or scarcity. So let's investigate this idea of feeling good, especially as it relates to manifestation. One of the common misconceptions about manifesting is that we have to really obsess and white-knuckle grip our vision of how it could be. You may be relieved to hear that this is precisely the opposite of how it works. Here's how it actually goes down. You think of something you want, and as soon as the desire is born within you, the universe conjures it up. Just like a solution is always created in tandem with a problem, so your desire is always created in tandem with its tangible result. Trust this. As soon as you ask, it is given. It materializes thanks to the universe. You don't have to worry about that. It exists. Bam. You may be thinking, well, that sounds great, but how come the thing I want, the hot love, the bulging bank balance, the bangin' bod, isn't in my living room? It's not in your living room because this is a question of vibrational alignment. By this I mean you have to feel how this thing feels on a consistent basis in order for it to show up in tangible form. So your job is simply to relax, act as if you already have it, and allow it to come to you. My dear friend and therapist Terry Cole explains manifesting like this. As soon as she has an idea of what she wants, the universe places it on a metaphorical UPS truck on its way to her. Think about that for a second. We often agonize over whether something is coming or not, whether it is happening or not, when it will show up, etc. This can be a real trip. We keep checking our watch, thinking about our biological clock, watching other people get what they want, and feeling internally petulant that our time has not yet come. Have you ever heard the saying, a watched pot never boils? I think this is actually an old wives' version of the double slit experiment in quantum physics, but no matter. Have you noticed that this notion is true? Let's upgrade this saying to something we can all really understand. A watched phone never dings. A constantly refreshed inbox never delivers a job offer. A pressured lover never produces an engagement ring. Let's come back to this UPS truck analogy. Think about the last time you ordered something online. Allow me to take you on a trip using a sequin catsuit as our example. In this story, you were perusing the site with lots of things jockeying for your attention, but you were most drawn to the sequin catsuit. I mean, who wouldn't be? Your eyes were completely agog. Your jaw was on the floor, so you placed your order. The website sent you a shipping notification and a tracking link. How kind. But you already know that those tracking links never work. Somehow the journey between dispatched from warehouse and signed delivery is like staring into the abyss. As much as the tracking is supposed to update you, it rarely does. You might refresh that page 5 times a day, but it still won't give you any more information. And yet, you still trust and believe that the sequin catsuit is on its way to you. You're already thinking about how it will feel once you shimmy into it and sashay around the house. You're already fantasizing about how to photograph it and show its maximum potential. You are absolutely in alignment with this catsuit, and more to the point, you have absolute faith that it will show up at your house. You asked, and it was given. So all that you can do is be happy about it, clear a space in your closet, and fantasize about what shoes and wig will match it best. This is the best way I can explain manifesting to you. As soon as you decide that you want it, you launch a rocket of desire, as Abraham Hicks says. In this precise moment, that thing springs into being. Then your only work is to enjoy life, relax, and feel good as often as possible so that the thing you want can float into your experience. Have you ever noticed that the things you want only come when you are happy? It's true, isn't it? When you're moping around hoping your crush will text you, your phone stays silent. But when you're out and about, enjoying life, having the best time possible, that's when they slide into your DMs, all cute and hopeful. When you feel good, you radiate those feelings outwards. You are literally a magnet pulling in people, things, and experiences. And when you feel desperate and lonely, you reap more of the same. You refresh your phone to no avail, all quiet on the Western Front. And by the way, it is completely normal to have these ups and downs. After I moved to LA, I was feeling good, but the changes were so big that it threw my momentum off. I was rushing, feeling very busy and a little bit overwhelmed, even while being grateful for all the good things in my life. So I felt good, but it wasn't very consistent. Emotionally, I was lurching from feeling good to feeling burdened, from feeling grateful to being stressed out. The key to manifesting is to maintain a sense of stability in our frequency as much as possible. I noticed that my vibration was a bit all over the place, and I took steps to get back into that high vibe feeling. I restarted my magical morning practice. I recommitted to going to the gym and walking between 2 and 4 miles every day. I turned my mornings into a delicious ritual that amplified my frequency. And what happened? About 2 days later, 3 of my exes got back in touch. I was so happy to hear from all of them. They are all lovely people. I saw one of them the next day, and I made plans with the other to see them at the end of the month. Coincidence? Actually, yes, but only because the true definition of coincidence is the precise opposite of how we use it today. The word coincidence is from the medieval Latin coincidere, which literally means to fall upon together. There is no separation of the areas of your life. They are intrinsically intertwined. Everything that you do in your life feeds everything else. You are not operating as a solo voyager. Everything is connected. When you take care of your frequency, people are drawn in. When you spend time with people you like, things happen quickly. When you take inspired action, your life just works. On the flip side, if you neglect your health and if you refuse to tend to your own vibration, you will feel stuck and stagnant. You will never get to experience the things you dream about. There is too far a way to go vibrationally. It is like trying to push a boulder up a hill. It's too much work. What you want to do instead is get the ball rolling by feeling good in the morning and allow those positive feelings to build so that you are in energetic alignment with the things you want. They will come to you so much more quickly. I started working with a new client in the Philippines recently. As we talked, she revealed to me that she was worried that we would create endless action plans that made her feel stressed out and anxious. Imagine her relief when I told her that her only homework is to feel good and be radiant. It's your homework too. One of the most challenging parts of manifesting is maintaining a consistent vibration. We hop back and forth between, I'm so excited about this, and what if I never get it? We jump from, it will be so good, to why isn't it here yet? This is like constantly fiddling with the dial on your radio. Not that anyone has those anymore. But fiddling with the dial means you get some top 40 and then some static, a blaring infomercial, and then a little more static. The goal is to keep your dial or frequency as steady as possible, like a perfectly tuned radio. What does it mean to feel good? Many of us are living in an unconscious way. We're not even really aware of our feelings, having been encouraged by today's society to essentially ignore them in favor of getting things done. But our feelings and emotions are actually essential. When we pay attention to them, they don't just help us figure out what we want from life, they also work as a guide, showing us how close we are to those things we want to manifest. When you decide that you want to feel good as often as you can, you will start to have more awareness of how you feel. I must warn you, at the beginning of this journey, you will probably find yourself feeling terrible more often than not. This might surprise you, as it shocked the hell out of me. As I started to pay attention to my moods, it was wild to realize how often I was feeling cranky, irritated, bored, demotivated, apathetic, or angry. I was stunned to realize that I felt that way all the time. Learning to get a handle on your emotions can be a roller coaster, but it is such an important thing to do. A lot of us have learned to shut down our emotions, often because of what transpired in our family home. As a result, we feel we don't have a right to experience our own emotions, and so we start to live from the neck up, cerebral, logical, and kind of emotionally flat. If you've decided that it might be time to bust out the old feelings, you might be scared of doing so. Personally, I had a lot of resistance to doing this because I was afraid of what might come up. But do you know what I discovered that is so fascinating? When we allow ourselves to feel an emotion fully, by which I mean we throw our arms wide open and say, okay, let me experience the totality of this, no holds barred. Science has proven that we can only physically feel that emotion for 90 seconds maximum. Isn't that incredible? I avoided my feelings for the better part of 20 years, all to realize that those emotions would only have activated me for 90 seconds at most. Your feelings are simply information, and they're not the boss of you. You might have a fear that you are at the mercy of your feelings, like they are just something that is happening to you. But nothing could be further from the truth. You are totally in control of your moods, your feelings, and your emotions. The more that you pay attention to them, the more you will realize this is true. You'll start to be able to step outside of them and play detective. I'm feeling pissed off. When did this begin? Well, I was really irritated by how this person spoke to me, and then I let that affect me, and the reason that really bothers me is because of this thing from my childhood, ... You will start to become aware of what triggers you, and most crucially, you will realize that the way you respond to those triggers is a choice too. It's said that our first thought is involuntary. It is something that is deeply programmed and, in essence, inescapable, although I believe this is something you can rewire through tapping, hypnosis, etc. But your second thought is something you can train. Some people believe that the mind is a cage. I don't subscribe to this. The mind is only a cage if you do not know how to use it effectively. If you've learned how to use it and you practice doing so, then your mind is the key to the kingdom. You are fully in charge of how you feel and what you think. This is the genesis of everything else. Your life is an extension of your mind. You only need to look around at the conditions of your life to see that this is absolutely true. Seeing is believing, as they say. If your life is awash with miserable people, a crappy job, no money in the bank, a passionless relationship, and poor health, you can bet your bottom dollar that your mind has an enormous part in the making of it. I would go so far to say that your mind is, in fact, 100% responsible for creating this life as it stands today. So if you're looking around at your life feeling deeply dissatisfied, don't blame yourself or beat yourself up. After all, as my hero Louise Hay once said, you have been criticizing yourself for years and it hasn't worked. Try approving of yourself instead. We cannot punish our way into a more beautiful life. This much I know for sure. Be gentle with yourself. Self-love is always the solution to your problems. And remember, transformation begins with willingness. This is not permanent, and if you change your thoughts, you can change your world. Learning to think differently, to discipline our minds, to use them in a way that is constructive and not destructive is emotional fitness. And it is something that no one teaches us. And it is the most important thing we can ever learn, to harness the immense power of our minds so that we can live beautiful lives. But since no one teaches it, it is up to us to learn it, practice it, and teach others. Emotional fitness is about mental discipline. We really have no idea what we should be doing with our brains. We let our fears run amok and create the movies in our heads, which then prevent us from doing what we really want. Undisciplined thinking is our utmost downfall. We have an unpleasant thought and we just keep following it. Often we don't even consider stepping away from it. It floats into our consciousness and we just follow it down the rabbit hole. And we all know what happens when we keep following those unhappy thoughts. Nothing good. It takes practice, discipline, and radical self-awareness to notice when you are doing this with your mind. The good news is that now you have read these words, or heard these words. You are no longer asleep. You are aware of what is happening in your mind. And now you have the power to flip the damn script. As I was saying, when you begin this process, you will notice that your unpleasant feelings linger for a long time. As the Cranberries once sang, do you have to, do you have to, do you have to let it linger? And the answer, of course, is no. You do not, in fact, have to let it linger. Soon you will have such awareness of your moods that you will grow totally intolerant of anything but feeling good. You will realize that if you don't feel good, there is only one thing to do. Get back to feeling good. Okay, smarty pants, I hear you thinking. Yes, I am that psychic. If I don't feel good, what am I supposed to do so that I can start feeling good? The answer is this: you have to use your body. We are seldom able to think ourselves into a better mood. You have to disrupt your patterns by using physical movement. Some of my favorite ways to bust out of a bad mood include tapping, chasing my dogs around, going for a drive, meditation, napping, having an orgasm or 3, working out, going for a walk, dancing in my living room, singing, journaling, or writing a gratitude list. All of these activities shake up my energetic body, which in turn changes my physical body, which then affects my emotional state. Emotion is created by motion, and your physiology determines your psychology. Thanks, Tony Robbins. In short, if you don't feel good, move your body. Occasionally, women will write to me and say that they cannot possibly feel good in a bad moment because they have children. No, this is an excuse at best. In fact, your children give you an even better reason to model beautiful behavior so that they can grow up and know how to manage their own emotions. If you're cranky, or they are, why not give them the incredible gift of teaching them how easy and fast it is to change their mood? They will immediately soak up these lessons, and if you continue to reinforce them, these will become part of their essential life skills. If you're having a tough time, involve your children in this process of feeling good. Dance together, sing together, do jumping jacks together. Ask them how they feel afterwards. Let them connect the dots. This is one of the best gifts you can give them. Another common question I get asked is, when I'm cranky, sometimes I don't even want to feel good. I just want to indulge my bad mood. Why does this happen, and what do I do about it? This is simply a bad old habit, and feeling miserable is familiar to you. You have to break this pattern if you want to create a new life for yourself, and the only way to change your mood is to take action. No one else can do it for you, so this is on you. It is up to you to change your mood, so no matter how irritated you're feeling, it is up to you to play Beyonce at ear-melting volume. It is up to you to twerk on the floor until you start laughing. It is up to you to tap until you feel calm again. It really is that simple. Just take action and stop making excuses. If you're on the fence about whether you want to wallow or let it go, remember that everything we feel attracts similar experiences. Every emotion that passes through us draws in people, moments, and situations that vibrate at a similar frequency. The longer we allow a feeling to percolate, the stronger its pull. Think of it like powering up a magnet. Do you want to charge it with positivity and thereby bring in positive experiences, or do you want to charge it with negativity and bring in negative experiences? Feeling bad is rough enough, but the worst part about feeling bad is that it perpetuates itself. If you need more motivation to move out of your bad and sad moods, that's it right there. Now look, there are always going to be moments that throw you off your frequency, some little like a bad driver, and some big like the death of someone you love. This is normal, it is human, and it is all part of the contrast of life, which then inspires us to dream bigger and get clearer about what it is we want. As you can see, pain and contrast is actually essential in helping us grow and evolve, even though it sucks in the moment. Allow yourself to experience your emotions at full capacity. Yes, absolutely. But don't dwell on your pain or make excuses to wallow in misery or self-pity. We could make excuses all day long as to why we are entitled to feel bad about this or that, and many of us do. However, I want to encourage you to remember that digging a deeper trench in the feeling bad place will never allow you to feel better. Why not just drop it and choose to feel good now? Make feeling good your number one priority. Make it the wish on every birthday candle you blow out. Make it your New Year's resolution in perpetuity. Once you begin to make feeling good your priority, you will notice that everything around you begins to change. It is like knocking down the first domino. The effects of this simple shift in thinking and in turn action will be profound. The people with miserable attitudes will begin to melt away from you. The momentum will build. The next right action will become obvious because it will follow inspired thought, and so on and so forth. Abraham Hicks calls this feeling good stuff being in the vortex. You are in the vortex anytime you feel good and you're in the present moment, when the momentum is building and life has more color, when beautiful things just seem to happen. I know I'm in the vortex when I find pennies on the ground, when I notice repeating numbers, also known as angel numbers, when I hit all the green lights and get the easy parking spaces, when people compliment me on my outfit or strike up a conversation in the street, when people give me things for free, when I get a table in a packed restaurant, when someone texts or calls just as I'm thinking of them, when my friends and I say the same thing at the same time, and the list goes on. As you can tell, it is a wonderful place to be. Literally nothing feels better. It's so easy to get there too. Become aware of your moods. Remember that they are a choice and that the longer you stay in a bad mood, the more you'll attract things of a similar vibration. Do something to change it by using your physical body, and then simply continue to reach for a better feeling thought. You've got this, baby. It's in the bag. The secrets of sabotage in your subconscious mind. Let's go a little bit deeper. What do you do about the times when feeling good seems almost impossible? What do you do when, despite your best efforts, you cannot seem to make a change in your life? I'm going to introduce you to the idea of secondary benefits. This concept blew my mind when I first learned about it, and I hope it will do the same for you. Secondary benefits are the things we gain, usually at a subconscious level, from our undesirable behavior. Let's use health and fitness as an example because it is such a pertinent thing for so many of us. You might look at yourself in the mirror and feel dissatisfied, or eat a meal of fast food and feel awful, totally bloated and miserable. You think to yourself, oh, I have to get to the gym and eat properly. But the next day, you skip the gym. You order another greasy meal, and the cycle continues. Why does this happen when you know what you want and you know what you need to do? From Google. Secondary benefits are advantages which people often derive or receive from their physical, neurotic, and character disorders as well as life difficulties. It is theorized that the individual does not consciously and intentionally search for these benefits, but that there is a payoff, i.e. some enjoyment in them. Excuse the scientific terminology, but I really want you to understand this. In short, a secondary benefit is something you don't consciously desire, but that you derive enjoyment from. In the case of neglecting your health, there are many secondary benefits that might be running the show. Maybe you like the attention you get from complaining about how you look. Maybe talking about your weight or health is a way that you bond with others. You may fear that without this topic of conversation, your friendships would dissolve. Maybe your family has unhealthy eating habits too, and to buck the trend would change your relationships with them or change the level of love and acceptance you feel from them. Maybe changing your own habits would make your loved ones feel bad about themselves, and you don't want to rock the boat that way. Maybe overeating allows you to numb out some feelings you'd rather not feel. Maybe it justifies a belief you have about yourself. Maybe it allows you to punish yourself in some way, thereby achieving a sense of relief from real or imagined guilt or shame. This is big. These are heavy concepts. These are ways that we self-sabotage without even knowing it. If you have trouble saving money, finding healthy relationships, or anything else, ask yourself, what are the secondary benefits I am gaining from continuing to do this? If it's hard for you to save your coins, some of the secondary benefits might include not wanting to do better than your parents, friends, or peers, which dovetails with a fear of being cast out or ostracized, wanting the adrenaline rush of buying things, also a way of avoiding those pesky emotions, or perhaps reinforcing a belief that you're not worthy of good things. If you keep enrolling in shitty relationships, some of the secondary benefits might include having something to talk about or using drama to get attention. It could be a form of self-punishment, which gives you some slight relief. It may be reinforcing your belief that you're not good enough. You might be degrading yourself as a reenactment of childhood trauma. Or it might be a way to score the adrenaline rush of being constantly embroiled in drama. If you can't quit smoking, maybe it's because it gives you a sense of connection to someone you love. If you keep cheating, maybe it's because you want attention and an adrenaline rush and you're punishing yourself. And the list goes on. Pretty wild, huh? The thing is, there are always other ways to meet these secondary benefits. We can experience connection and get attention in healthier ways. There are thousands of ways to spike your adrenaline that do not require you to ultimately degrade yourself or hurt others. And there are ways to relieve yourself of guilt that do not include self-punishment. We all hold on to bad habits and indulge our secondary benefits to some degree. And as you can see, it's largely unconscious. But now that you know that this is something you've been conditioned for, it is also something you can decondition. It is something you can change. And that's a beautiful thing. It's not about a habit, it's about who you are. When we want to make some kind of change in our lives, we often make the mistake of simply trying to institute some new behavior. The problem is that this new behavior or habit or routine we want to implement is at odds with how we actually see ourselves. It clashes with the subconscious program we've been running our entire lives. We're starting at the wrong end of the stick. We're starting with behavior when we don't have a belief that backs it up. We actually need to change our beliefs first. And once we do that, making a behavioral shift is easy. I used to hate working out. Even the idea of it made me want to die. When I thought about it, I either associated it with being freezing cold in a frosty grass field in New Zealand, wheezing asthmatically, or punishing myself on the treadmill when I had an eating disorder. I had no positive associations with exercise. To me, it had always been a torture device. So when I turned 25 and decided, after moving into a 5th floor walk-up building in New York City that left me breathless every time, that I needed to get fit, getting myself to the gym was a major hurdle. Even though I had picked a cool gym, I always felt out of place there. I didn't feel stylish or cool or coordinated. In fact, I felt the polar opposite. My internal stories all swirled around the idea that I wasn't fit, I wasn't athletic, I wasn't coordinated, and I didn't belong there. I was an outsider. These were all secondary benefits. By feeling like an outsider, I got to feel special and different. It fed my ego. By claiming that I wasn't athletic, I got to be lazy, which, let's face it, can feel great in small doses. And by refusing to work out, I was punishing myself subconsciously because exercise makes us look and feel good. This programming was running my life. It was so uncomfortable to go to the gym. I would eye the treadmills and feel awkward, like I was fooling myself, like I would never be friendly with anyone there. It was really painful and hard. But everything changed for me when I started to shift how I saw myself. The best part is that it was really as easy as telling myself and other people a new story. After some floundering, I decided to hire a personal trainer and we scheduled 3 sessions a week onto the calendar. I had never worked out properly before and I felt completely unsure of what I was supposed to do. The expense felt absolutely astronomical, so I went to every single session because I could not bear to waste the money. Very quickly, I had to rearrange my life so that there was room within it for me to exercise. I started to wear my workout clothes more regularly because I knew that 3 out of my 5 workdays would end in the gym. I started to eat less processed food, especially those delicious spicy fried chicken sandwiches they sold at the bodega under my apartment, because I noticed that having a bunch of grease and gluten sloshing around inside me made my next workout so much harder. And when I would see my friends, I would sometimes end our lunches by heading to the gym. They would almost always ask me how it was going, and I would tell them that even though it was tough, I was enjoying it and that I was going 3 times a week. This is such a simple and subtle shift The place where a lot of people falter is that they tell a story that is already unsuccessful. They may say something like, I'm trying to get fit, or I go to the gym when I can. Those were not my stories. My workouts were permanently embedded in my Google Calendar, honey, and it began to change my perception of myself. And as I realized I was wearing gym gear a lot, I started to pay more attention to it. I began to put together gym looks, and it made me feel better about going. The more I went to the gym, the more I got to know the staff and the trainers. I started to feel like I belonged. My trainer and I became friends, and I looked forward to seeing him. And I started to think of myself as a gym bunny, which was a fun identity to slide into. When something becomes your identity, it is much easier to implement and integrate new behaviors. Be sure to check the book bonuses section on galadarling.com for a guided tapping session on identity change. We are going to make this concept of feeling good part of your identity and lifestyle, rather than just a habit you want to get into. What I want to encourage you to do is step into a whole new belief system. The belief that you are a strong, smart, positive babe, that you do things that make you feel good about yourself, that you look after yourself, that you make feeling good a priority every single day. Because that is all that this requires, just a little shift in perception, a little change in how you see yourself. It's so easy to do. What this also means is that you stop telling yourself the stories that are holding you back and disempowering you. A lot of us make excuses. We tell ourselves and the people around us a sad story about our childhood or even adulthood. These stories are loaded with secondary benefits, allowing us to gain attention or sympathy, and sometimes these stories even manipulate other people into allowing us to get away with really unscrupulous behavior. This is not to say that terrible things haven't happened to you. We all have experienced some kind of trauma, pain, maybe even abuse. My heart goes out to you because I know how hard that can be. But I also don't want you to latch on to the worst moments from your past and use them to create your identity. You are so much more than what has happened to you. Some of the most successful people in the world came from horrific upbringings full of abuse and pain. They have not allowed their past to dictate their present. In fact, sometimes they have even used those experiences to motivate them to be more, give more, help more. They have transformed their pain into purpose, and they have not allowed these secondary benefits to run their lives. When we tell sad stories, we cement them even further into our consciousness. We are deepening that trench, digging the neural pathway deeper and stronger. What we are really doing is telling the story of why I cannot be happy now, and it is nonsense. You are so much more than your history. The best way to let go of these old stories is simple. Never tell them again. Do not talk about anything that you do not want to further entrench in your life. This means that we do not tell our stories of betrayal. We do not use the tale of tormented love as a cocktail party anecdote. We do not use the sad story to get attention or to let ourselves off the hook for doing the work. This can be challenging, especially when those past incidents have coiled up inside you and turned into a major part of your identity. Just like all things in life, using pain and trauma as your identity is a choice. Depression, anorexia, and anxiety used to be my identity. They were my so-called artistic fuel. I believed that I needed to be in pain to create. I would look at the artists I admired and observe their alcoholism, womanizing, pessimism, and think, that is the way to be a true creative. When your life is in shambles, you will make real art. Oh, the folly of youth. My path to healing was not a glamorous one. I was essentially dragged there kicking and screaming. My ex-boyfriend threatened me that if I didn't work on myself, he would leave me. At the time, I valued my relationship more than I valued myself, and so I did what he said. It sounds completely nuts to write these words, but at the time, I didn't really want to be happy. I thought only stupid people could enjoy life because all I saw was pain and misery. I was a professional cynic. And maybe the truth is that I was filled with so much self-loathing, anger, and sadness that I didn't think I deserved happiness. But once I discovered tapping at age 23, my depression was cured, and as a result, my whole perception of the world flipped. I saw how beautiful the world could be. I realized that actually taking a cynical and negative view of things was simply laziness. It was easy to point at what wasn't working, to be skeptical, and to complain. But it took skill and a disciplined mind to truly realize that the world is what you make of it. And even though there are things in life that we may not be thrilled about, there are also blessings everywhere. Choosing to put your attention on the things that make you feel good is a sign of strength, acuity, grit, and resilience. I thought it was clever to be miserable and cynical, that only the razor-sharp intellects of the world could see how terrible life truly was. I thought that if you were happy, you were clearly dumb and oblivious. But it turned out to be the exact opposite. Next time you're in a public place, like the supermarket or at the bus stop, listen to what the people around you are talking about. The law of averages tells you that most of these people will be of standard intelligence, and you will notice that almost all of them are complaining about something or other, almost without exception. Are these people experiencing bliss on a regular basis, or are they average Joes trapped in a life of their own miserable making? Is this how we want to spend our lives, these precious hours in the universe, moaning and whining about things that are done and dusted? Do we really want to devote hours to dwelling on things that we can no longer change? I vote that we dig deep into the moment and extract every ounce of joy out of it. I vote that we fix our gaze on the horizon and get absolutely hyped on the possibilities of the future. Screw the past. It's over. The time is now. This is not a question of IQ. We all know geniuses whose lives are absolute misery in motion. It's not about being clever. This is about recognizing what works for us and then committing to it. It's about noticing what propels us forward, hint, good feelings, and then doubling down on them. Some people think that they need to block out their emotions in order to get things done. This is one tactic for sure. You'll probably be productive. But the problem is that if you stop paying attention to how you feel, you won't know whether you're doing the right thing or not, because the right thing feels like a breath of fresh air, and the wrong thing feels like pushing a boulder up a hill. It's that simple. If you've decided to turn off your emotions, you will no longer be able to discern if what you are doing is helping or hindering you. I remember once observing a boyfriend who was going through a stressful time at work. He decided that the best strategy was to shut down his feelings and push on through. He was tirelessly grinding from morning to night. He became very hard to talk to or connect with because he was completely emotionally bereft. As this continued, he neglected his daughter's emotional needs, causing more problems. He sabotaged his relationship with me, got kicked out of his place of work, and lost tons of clients. What would have been a better strategy? What if, instead of obsessing about money and status, he had asked himself, what do I need to do to feel good every day? How can I encourage my clients to do the same? How can I bring more joy to my work? How can I make my clients' experience more fun? Now, these ideas can seem antithetical, particularly when we're stressed out about money. It can seem like the only thing to do is get really serious, make a plan, and execute it. No time for any funny business. But actually, when we make joy and happiness priorities in our lives, everything is easier. We come up with more ideas. We are less stressed out, and we make real, lasting connections with good, authentic people. When you're not letting yourself feel your true emotions, when you won't even admit them to yourself, you are also not letting anyone else really see you or know you. It becomes a very lonely life because deep down, you know that you're hiding a big chunk of your truth. The truth is that people want to be around other people that are real, that can be vulnerable, and who feel good. Even if you plaster a fake grin on your face, people know when you're not truly connected to yourself. It makes them uncomfortable, and so they go away. We always attract what we are radiating. So if you're giving off a vibe of stress and seriousness and hustle, you will only attract yuckiness, people who are peddling get-rich-quick schemes, social climbers, business plans with no integrity, and other kinds of messiness. Next time you're feeling stressed out about something, stop writing to-do lists. Make a decision to get out of your head and into your body. Ask yourself, what can I do to feel a little relief? What can I do right now that will make me feel better? It could be as simple as calling your BFF. It could be listening to your favorite album. It could be going to therapy or doing some tapping. The goal is to always move yourself closer to relief, closer to satisfaction, closer to feeling good. When we change our state to one that is higher up the emotional scale, we stumble upon solutions. We have brilliant ideas. No one ever solved a problem by digging deep into a fear spiral or by neglecting their emotional health. You cannot resolve an issue from the same consciousness that created the problem, which is why when Einstein was stuck on a tricky problem, he'd go away and eat an orange or play the violin. Feel good first, solve problems second. Mastering the bad bitch mindset. Calling all bondage babes. Have you ever been drawn to the kinky side? Ever slid your hands along a pair of PVC pants, dared to try on a spiked collar, or poked your head into the darkened door of a goth club? What I want to encourage is for you to bring this vibe to your mentality. Get kinky with it. Discipline your mind like a bad bitch. Making feeling good your priority might sound like a hippie kind of idea, but it's the exact opposite. It actually requires a finely honed mind. It is a mental boot camp. I've always loved those TV shows about people training to get into the military or whatever, even though I am in no way inclined to do it myself. There's something about mental discipline and toughness that is really hot. Having self-control is exciting. Being a person that has it together, doesn't make excuses, and maintains a positive attitude is sexy. Who doesn't want to be around that person? Scratch that. Who doesn't want to be that person? When you notice that you're going down a spiral, just say to yourself, hey, no thanks. Let your negative thought know that you see it for what it is and attempt to derail you from feeling good. When you shine your torch on it, it becomes less of a subtle manipulator and starts to look a bit pathetic. Look at it there, cowering in the corner. Who could really be afraid of that? It really is that simple. We start with awareness, noticing that our mind is taking us to a dark or unpleasant place. Awareness is half the battle. Once you've noticed what is going on, you have the choice to stop your mind in its tracks or let it continue taking you deeper and deeper. The more that you do this, the less tolerance you will have for those unhappy thoughts, and the sooner you will course correct. This is a practice. It is something that you decide to start doing and then maintain. In a similar way to how you are working gratitude and magical morning practice into your life, you can add this too. You won't catch every single negative thought immediately. Some of them will get by you. But the more of them you catch, the more you will be in control of how you feel. When you team this mental practice with the tapping sessions and the book bonuses section, you will be absolutely floored by the speed with which you make progress. Letting go of conditional happiness. Sure, it's easy to be happy when you get a text message from your crush, or you get a raise at work, or you're snuggled up on the couch with a pint of vegan chocolate ice cream watching your favorite trashy reality TV show. It's so easy to allow an external circumstance to make us happy, but what if you try to be happy without those things? What if you decide to generate joy on your own? The way that we can be happy without having to have our conditions met is by paving the way. For example, if you wake up and immediately focus on something that doesn't feel good, then go on to have a series of aggravating interactions with people and don't hear from your lover all day, there's very little you can do to turn that all around. By the end of the day, you have so much momentum built up in a negative direction that you'd have to work your ass off to change it. That's why a morning practice is so important, and it's why I started doing the magical morning routine every day. It helps me to reach for satisfying thoughts, and then the momentum of me having done that helps me to create a happier and more joyful day. When we allow other people to dictate how we feel, which is exactly what happens when we don't pre-pave our day, we are not in control of our own vibration, and thus we feel like we're just reacting most of the time. Think about the people you know who spend huge swathes of time complaining about their partner, family, colleagues, or friends. What is really happening in this situation is that they are not taking responsibility for their own vibration. If you find yourself living amongst people who do not feel in alignment with what you want or value, be aware that complaining isn't going to make a lick of difference. If you are in this situation, either change it or get so high on your supply, aka so deeply tuned into your own vibration, that it no longer bothers you. When we're not conscious of the stories we're telling ourselves and we're behaving in an unaware way, we find ourselves doing things that wound or hurt us. We get a little seedling of a negative thought in our minds and we water it, tend to it, and nurture it until it becomes a huge tree. The truth is that we get to choose our thoughts, and so, plot twist, we also get to ignore, avoid, or distract ourselves from the thoughts that bring us harm. How often do you ask questions whose answers you already know are going to create more dread and fear within you? How often do you switch browser tabs knowing that the thing you're about to type into the search box isn't going to make you feel good? How often do you allow a little kernel of curiosity to pop into a huge, anxiety-inducing piece of popcorn? Newsflash, you don't have to do this. It is optional. This is a mental discipline, as I keep saying. Don't feel bad as you think back on the million+ times you have done exactly these things, because you're not alone. I have done the same. It's not our fault. We didn't know better. We didn't know we could choose different thoughts. But here's the kicker. Now we know. So we can make different choices. And that's where the growth and development happens. How do I know that my manifestations are working? This is almost a trick question, but I'll answer it. Remember at the start of the chapter where I told you that when you ask, it is given? There are no exceptions to this rule. This is what happens every single time. And remember when I shared Terry's brilliant UPS truck analogy? Same deal. It is on the way. When you're feeling doubtful about your manifestations, think back to chapter 1 where we talked about our emotions being our guidance. If you're feeling good, you will manifest more quickly. It's as simple as that. So your manifestations are always working. But if feeling good is not enough and you want to ramp it up to a supersonic level, I find the following to be massively positive signs. They always cheer me up and help bring me even further into alignment. Bonus. Pennies on the ground. 1 is beautiful, and if I find 2 in a day, I know my vibe is lit. Butterflies, especially blue or monarch butterflies. Dragonflies, hummingbirds, and fireflies. These are all miracle creatures in my mind. Pink anything, a fence, a building, a car, a garbage truck. I saw a pink garbage truck today. Spontaneous rainbows. Repeating numbers, also known as angel numbers. 111 says keep going, you're on the right path. 222 says you're in the right place at the right time and this moment is perfect. 333 says balance your mind, body, and spirit. 444 says you are protected and guided. 555 says a change is happening. 666 says step back and take a greater view. 777 says you are stronger than you know, have faith. 888 says you are perfectly balanced and in harmony. And 999 says it is time to wrap up the old and begin the new. I asked you all on Instagram about signs that your manifestations were coming, and some of my favorite answers included balloons, planes, chimes, feathers, ladybugs, 4-leaf clovers. Someone found 84 in 1 year. And white rabbits. Can life really be that good? I believe that life can be sensational if we will allow it to be that way. But it is essential that we examine the subconscious programming that is underpinning our lives. This means that we need to take a real look in the mirror and see where we are letting ourselves down. Gratitude lists, tapping, meditation, exercise, and visualization are incredible tools, but if underneath it all we are allowing our sense of self-loathing to rule the roost, we will never make as much progress as we want to. I strongly encourage you to look at the areas of your life you'd like to change and ask yourself, what are the secondary benefits from me staying the same? Even though these can be uncomfortable questions to ask and difficult truths to face, the clarity you gain will be absolutely worth it. Once you look into these things and realize where you have been holding yourself back, you will be unrestricted in the pursuit of truly feeling good. It will become even easier to align with the things you desire. Getting into the vortex every day will become second nature, and the life you dream about will come rushing towards you.